Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back to Fiesta Gardens Library. I'm so happy to be reading with you, although I do continue missing having you here, right here in the library with me. Today, we're going to celebrate President's Day, which we celebrated this week. President's Day honors two of our most amazing presidents, Abraham Lincoln, our 16th president, and George Washington, our very first president. I will start with a story about Abraham Lincoln and then tell you some facts about George Washington. And on my YouTube channel, you'll find this similar story about George Washington if you wish to listen. I Am Abraham Lincoln by Brad Meltzer. And the series is called Ordinary People Change the World. I am Abraham Lincoln. When I was little, even young boys were expected to work on the farm and hunt animals for food. I preferred to read. I also loved animals. When I was 10 years old, I saw a group of boys playing with some turtles. But as I got closer, I realized they weren't playing. They were taking hot coals and putting them on the top of the turtles to see what would happen. To them, it was harmless fun. In that moment, I could have just walked away. When you're 10 years old, it's hard to do the right thing, but someone has to. Let this turtle go. What did you say? You heard me. Let it go. Those boys let the turtle go. Soon after, I wrote one of my first essays about how hurting animals is wrong. That may not seem like a big deal, but back then, most kids, even most adults, didn't know how to write. In fact, the state of Indiana was so new, schools weren't even built yet. I went to school for barely 1 year total, but that didn't stop me. Using chalk, I practiced writing the alphabet on trees. I even wrote in the dirt of the cornfield, Abraham Lincoln. When it came to learning, my best teachers were simply books. I loved books so much, I once walked 6 miles to get one. I'd read while my horse was resting, and while waiting in line at the local store, and in one of my favorite positions with my feet up on a tree. Before long, I had read every book in the neighborhood, from the Bible to Aesop's Fables. But one of my favorites, a book about George Washington. When I was 22 years old, we moved to Illinois, where I met a group known as the Clary's Grove Boys. Everyone in town knew they were bullies. I didn't like bullies, but I was the new guy. When they challenged me, I didn't have much choice. Today, some may call it a fight, but it was really a wrestling match. Me against the leader, Jack Armstrong. Back then, the rule was, once you grabbed your opponent, you couldn't break your hold. Wham! But Jack did, so he could grab my leg and send me flying. I wasn't mad I lost. Everyone loses sometimes. What got me upset? He cheated. Within seconds, they all surrounded me. They were waiting for me to back down or to lose my cool. Instead, calmly and confidently, I told them, if I have to, I will fight every single one of you, fair and square. They knew I meant it. Sometimes the hardest fights don't reveal a winner, but they do reveal character, how you act, especially when you're fighting for something you believe in. Still, not every struggle brought a victory. Years later, I saw a group of slaves chained together in a boat on the Ohio River. Back then, not all people were free. Some were slaves. Just because of the color of their skin, they were forced to work without pay. They were treated terribly. I never forgot the sight of that boat. I didn't do anything that day, but for years, the memory of these people haunted me. I was still thinking about them when I became president. I lost 4 elections before I got the big job. 4! America was facing one of the greatest fights in our history, the Civil War. One side wanted to let the slaves go free. The other side didn't. If I had turned my head and looked away, I would have avoided the fight. But if I'd learned anything in life, it was this. When someone needed help, I wasn't so good at looking away. The Civil War lasted longer than anyone thought. People on our side were ready to give up, the side that did not want slaves. To re-energize them, we held a big event in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. The main speaker gave a speech that lasted nearly 2 hours. I gave a speech for 2 minutes. Soon after, I helped pass a law that ended slavery in America and freed all those people. Then we ended the Civil War. As a result, we didn't just bring together these United States of America. We proved that this government of the people, by the people, and for the people would be dedicated to freedom and justice. And many people did not agree with Abraham Lincoln. When you find something you believe in, use your voice. And when you see injustice, speak louder than you've ever spoken before. When you do, it'll never be forgotten. And soon after the Civil War ended, Abraham Lincoln was killed by someone who did not agree with letting the slaves be free. Smart About the Presidents by John Bower. Let's just look quickly at George Washington. He was president from 1789 to 1797. He was our very first president. Before he was president, he was a farmer. And did you know that George Washington was the only president who never lived in the White House? The White House wasn't built yet. George Washington is also known as the father of our country. He led the colonists, who then became the United States, in the Revolutionary War to become independent from England. Smart About the Presidents and Abraham Lincoln. Happy belated President's Day.